Hello all, Perrin Baker here. There have been some posts this evening asking how to post your name or copyright or company name on an image. There's lots of tools to do that, but I'm going to suggest that since you should be using it anyway, Photoshop. I'm going to do a brief tutorial here on how to do that in Photoshop, and I'll go slow so anyone can follow along. I will be doing other tutorials at the meetings, beginning Photoshop for beginning photographers. So look forward to those. We'll be having one this month. Let's jump right on in. Start with the Photoshop being open. Up here on the top right hand corner, there's the mode that you're working in. It says Start. Change that with a drop down to Photography. That will change you to have your layers palette here. We'll talk about those in a moment. History and actions here, but most importantly your tools over here on the left hand side. The first thing we want to do is create the signature file, or whatever you want to put overlaid on your image. So we go to File, New. Let's just, as a name, let's just call it SIG, like it's a signature file. Leave document type at custom. Put your width at about 2,000 pixels and your height at 425. This is pretty random, but you need it at somewhat that size depending on the size of the image you're overlaying it on. We're going to be able to adjust this later on, so it's not terribly critical. But do make it large enough that it's easy to work with later on. Resolution, I set it at 300. That's in case I want to leave the signature on an image when I print it out to a final print or canvas. The higher resolution will make it look better. If you're only doing JPEGs, there's much smaller resolution anyway, like you're posting on Facebook or somewhere. The most critical thing in here is background contents. That needs to be set to transparent. Very, very important. Leave these set as they are and click OK. It's going to give you a box in the middle of the screen. This is a transparent box. I want you to, it's called a layer, and I want you to think of this as a piece of tracing paper. It's translucent. You can write on it and you can see through it. Maybe even more like a transparent piece of plastic that you can see through. So what we want to do is put our name or whatever on here. So the first thing we want to do is select text. That's the T over here in the toolbar. This is the toolbar. Click the T and then come down here near the bottom, right about there, and click. Okay, that's where we're going to be putting our text in. Now, mine can go a little larger in that box. So let's go to 48. Yeah, see, that's where below the line letters like P and Q and Y will go, and this works okay. Then we need to select what font we want. I particularly like the Papyrus Regular, and so that's the one I selected up here. You can click this pull down and then run through them. You can see them, the actual samples on the right with the name on the left. But I like Papyrus Regular, that's just me. Then you need to select your color. You can click over here on the left hand side and pick your color of your foreground. Now, personally, I like white. So I'm going to hit cancel and then go over here and then reverse these. This little button here reverses foreground and background, and pick white. I like white because it will go on nearly any image that you have. Now, you can make several signature files. You can have SIG black, SIG white, SIG pink, SIG chartreuse, magenta, whatever you want. You can have a bunch of different ones. I actually do have a black one also, but white is what I use. So now I'm set up. Whoops, I lost my papyrus age. Doesn't really matter. Here's Papyrus 48 point and white. Okay, so now I start typing. Now, Man, that's hard to see, isn't it? Actually, I can tell there's a mistake. I didn't have a space there. If I want to be able to look at that and tell that whether there's mistakes or not, there's a real simple little thing I can do. Okay, I've typed it in. You see that little bar flashing on the right hand side? Just hit enter, and that will lock that in. Okay, now remember talking about the little plastic or tracing paper that this is on? That's a layer. So if I come down here to the bottom right next to the little trash can, and click on that, that creates a new layer or a new piece of transparent plastic that I can write on or do whatever on and see underneath wherever I don't write. So I'm actually going to draw that underneath there. It's still highlighted. Whatever's highlighted is what you're working on, what layer you're working on. So I'm going to click on this bottom layer. That's the layer I'm going to work on. And I want to make this layer filled with this pink color. So I'm going to reverse this again, using that reverse button. That's my foreground, and I'm going to come up here to the paint bucket. This floods a layer or selection with that color. So I'm going to come in here and just click. And wow, there's that color in the background. It filled that layer with that color. Now what I see is that this isn't centered. It's not really where I want it. So I need to move it. So I'm going to select this piece of transparency, this tracing paper, this layer, and I'm going to come up here to the move tool. It's the one with the 4 arrows. That means move. And I come in here, and when I click, I can move anything on that layer around. So right there, it's in the middle. You see the move tool with the arrow on it? So I have just moved the contents of this layer, this plastic piece. It's just like I moved the piece of plastic around and put it in the center. But that's not what I want in my final. I want the background transparent so that when I overlay it on an image, only the Parent P. Baker shows up and the image itself shows up around that. So I need to get rid of this layer. So let's highlight that again. You see it gets a little block around it. And I'm going to click and hold and drag it down. Come on, let's go. Drag it down. There we go. I didn't grab it good. To the trash can and trash that particular layer. That only leaves the transparency. So then I'm going to save it. This is important. File, not save, but save as. You have to save it as the type, save as type, PNG, PNG. PNG files are unique in the realm of file formats for an image in that they preserve the background transparency. Only the white will show up, the rest will stay transparent, and that's only PNG files. That's a generalization, but accept it for now, okay? So save. The options will come up, just ignore those, say okay with whatever default is done. After a moment, it will actually save. You're done with that part, and you may come up here and close it. Do not say save changes because it's trying to save it in a different format. We've already saved it as a PNG file, so it doesn't matter. Say no. Now, back to start. We're going to now find the file that we want to embed my signature on. So we're going to go File, Open, and I pre-prepared a file called Cincy. This is a nice skyline shot of Cincinnati at night, taken after the ProPhoto seminar up there. So I want to put that white logo in here somewhere. So what do I need to do? The first thing I need to do is get that transparency little onion skin plastic thing going again. So I come down here to New Layer, right next to the trash can, click that, and it gives me a new transparent layer over top of my main image. So this is that clear plastic right there. So I want to put my signature inside that layer. I go to File, and then we're going to go to Place Embedded. which basically means I'm going to embed the original signature file into that layer. So I click on that. It's going to bring up a dialog box that allows me to select that signature file that we created earlier, sig.ping. Remember, ping file. Okay, so we're going to select that, and it's going to pop up in the middle of our screen. Now, a couple things you need to know here. As long as this box is around here, I can adjust the way it looks. So I can hold my shift key down and enlarge it. I can go as large as I want to go. I can even let go of the shift. Now, holding the shift key down makes it keep the same ratio. In other words, it's not going to get weird shapes. If I let go of the shift key like I just did then, I can actually warp it a lot of different ways around, even upside down if I want to. But as long as I hold the shift key down when I place it, it's going to stay proportional. Now, another little trick, if I let go of the shift key and I put my mouse right here, you see that little thing, the little arrows changing here? I can actually spin it. So if I want to embed it vertically on the right hand side, I can do that as well. But let's not do that. Let's just take it back to normal. There we go. Almost there. Okay, not quite. Anyway, we'll assume that's normal. Or actually, I can hit delete and it will take it away. And then do it again. File, remember, place embedded. It'll bring up the dialog box asking me what file I want to place embedded. I want to place the SIG file. Place. I'm going to bring it up in the middle of the screen. And when it does that, I want to hold the shift key down, make it the size I want it to be, and now what I want to do is move it down here or here. So we come up to this little move icon, move tool that we used before. Oh, yep, we need to place it. You can hit enter and place it, or it will ask you that. But now we've got the move tool, and I can move that wherever I want to move it. So if I want it over here, that's fine. It's a little more stark there. If I move it off to the left hand side, pardon me, to the right hand side, oops, lost it. If I move it off to the right hand side, I kind of like that better because it's like in here, because it's not so obvious. Okay, so put it there. Now, I still think that's too bright. So let's go up here, again with this selected, and look at the opacity. If you click, there's several ways to do this, but if you click that little arrow right next to opacity, you can adjust how opaque that particular layer, and in this case the layer contains a signature, how opaque that layer is. So if I want to make it very faint, I can make it very, very faint. If I want to make it somewhat in between, I can do that, or very obvious. I tend to like it around the 50s, right in there somewhere. Actually, this being a darker shot, might like it a little bit lighter. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Again, now, if I decide that I want it moved, I can still go in and move it wherever I want to with that move tool. It's a little jumpy tonight because I've got so much going on my computer. So let's leave it there. No, let's leave it there. Okay. So now we've got all that done. We need to save it. File, save as. It'll bring up a dialog box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it twice. I'm going to save it as a JPEG. And when I like doing this, I like saying that it's a JPEG, Cincy JPEG. And if I say Cincy JPEG, to me that says it's maximum resolution, which is here. Okay, it pops up your JPEG options just like it did when we did a ping, and this allows me to decide what resolution or quality I want it in. If I run it all the way up to 12 maximum, that's the best quality that this image can be saved as. Remember, we saved this as 300 dpi. This image is actually 300 dpi. We're saving it at the best resolution. So, okay. Now, that being said, that file is too big to send up to Facebook. So what I do then is say save as. I change this to JPEG again, the file type. And what I want to do, save, is, oh, hold it. I want to save this as Cincy JPEG 6. Okay, I'll explain 6. So then I take this down to 6, the medium file. That way I am saving it small enough, it's going to be small enough that I can upload it to Facebook easily. It won't be such a big, huge file. So, okay. Now it's saved. So I have put, I've created my signature file as a ping. I've brought it into the image I wanted to save it on top of. I've saved a high resolution JPEG. I've saved a medium resolution JPEG that I can upload to Facebook, and we're all set. I hope that helps out. If you have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to comment. Again, I'll be doing some Photoshop seminars at the Tates Creek Camera Club. All of them will be geared toward beginning work. So hope you enjoy.